I'm about to introduce y'all to some really good
stuff.
Today I'm going to be talking about an Amazon original show that I really don't see anybody talking about. The show in question is called Documental, hosted by Hitoshi Matsumoto, who is a well-known Japanese talk show host, comedian, all-around famous dude in Japan. The premise of the show, which has now at this point been replicated all across the world, you lock 10 comedians in a room and you give them 6 hours. For those 6 hours, you are not allowed to laugh. The person who is standing at the end wins 10 million yen. However, the interesting part about it is that each comedian has to bring 1 million yen to play the game. So basically they're betting on themselves that I will not laugh. So the whole premise of the show is for these 10 comedians to make the other comedians laugh while not making themselves laugh either. And it brings about some of the most interesting moments I've ever seen in any show. The title Documental is pretty much nonsensical. The host explains that it's a documentary about your mentality or your mind, so documental. Doesn't make sense. Has nothing to do with the show, actually. It is such an interesting breakdown of what makes a human being laugh. Like, at the end of the day, what makes somebody laugh? It is, different for each person, but there are some things that are just universal. And in some cases, it's fatiguing. You never think about not being able to laugh. There's really not many situations in this world where you cannot laugh. Funeral's probably one of them. I'd say at your divorce hearing, that's probably another place you should laugh. Church, I guess? I don't know. I wouldn't know about that. Those are really the only places you're not allowed to laugh. Like, laughing is just a part of being a human. It's a very normal thing to do. So when you are deprived of that and can no longer laugh, you start to lose your mind. It becomes fatiguing, really. And you can see that in some of the contestants, especially near the end of each season. Each season covers one game, basically. It's 6 hours stretched across 3 to 4 episodes, depending on how quickly people are dropping. And another interesting thing about the show is that because it's an Amazon original, and it's on Amazon Prime, the episodes don't have a set length. They basically go for however long it makes sense for them to go. Because some episodes will be 45 minutes, and then there are other episodes that are an hour and a half long. But you don't feel it because it's so interesting, just the way that people laugh at the most stupid things sometimes. This show is Japanese. All the contestants are Japanese, takes place in Japan. So it is a subtitled show. And if you do not like reading subtitles, I just have one thing to say to you. All right, that's fine. I mean, you're depriving yourself of most media at that point, because there's a lot of stuff made outside of America that's really good. So the show is subtitled, and I will say, because it is Japanese comedians talking to other Japanese comedians, sometimes the references fall short or the wordplays fall short. One thing I don't like on the Amazon Prime version of the show, the subtitles are just cut and dry, direct translations. However, there are other ways to watch the show. And these other ways of watching the show, they are so kind as to not only have the regular subtitles, but they will also put in cultural references and also wordplay references, being oh, this word actually sounds like this word. That's why they're saying it like this, which is very helpful. But again, not on the Amazon Prime version of the show. There's only really one other option. A good litmus test for if you think this show would be good would be to look up Pie Hell. It's also by Hitoshi Matsumoto. He's actually the victim of Pie Hell. It's on YouTube, I believe. I'll leave a link in the description to it because it is a fantastic... I literally have a hard copy on my computer. That's how good it is. It is like the most basic comedic idea of like throwing a pie in someone's face, amplified by 1 million.
もう大きなあかん時間か。しんどいな。あくび出るわ。
If you watch that and you think that was funny, I liked that, watch Documental. It's also very interesting to break down the idea of like why somebody is a comedian. Because in America, comedians, you know, there's a lot of successful ones, but for the most part, most comedians aren't successful and they have to do podcasts to like make money, basically, to live. They don't really make a living off of the stand-up comedy. A lot, you know, some do, but in Japan, comedian is actually like a career path that you can go on. Like there's schools to become a comedian. Basically, if you're like a famous comedian in Japan, you just get to be on TV at all times. Like most famous Japanese comedians are just TV hosts or just are regulars on TV shows. Hitoshi Matsumoto is a regular on, it's like Gaku no Tenshi or something like that. Downtown. It's like a very long running series that's just like a comedy talk show in Japan. Very popular. That's where Pie Hell originates from, but they also do a lot of other interesting sketches. It turns comedy into a combat sport because you have people that will go in already planning on like causing havoc. They already have pre-planned bits. They have costumes. And then you have other people that are there who are just like trying to do anything but laugh at these attackers. And there are also regulars on the show. The show has gone for around 10 seasons at this point. There are regulars on the show that have appeared on multiple seasons. Two of my favorite people that I've seen, I've only seen the first 5.5 seasons. The first 5 are on Amazon Prime. The other 5 are somewhere else. My 2 favorites are Jimmy, pictured here. I have to find a appropriate image of him because half of his bits are just being naked or just half naked. And Fujimoto, who unfortunately is in some controversy right now because back in October of 2023, he had a cheeky little hit and run accident where he hit another car and fled. And he has since apologized for it, but those are my 2 favorites on the show. I feel bad for Fujimoto. He really be getting L's recently. He also got divorced a couple years ago. He's catching L's left and right. Those are my 2 favorite. But they also are tragically like too funny for the show, in my opinion. They are so funny and so willing to hop on anyone's bit. Like somebody could be doing a bit, they will immediately hop on and start like helping them to their own fault. Half of the time they laugh is because they are just like, like jumping in on a bit or doing their own bit, and it's just so funny that they laugh. But you get like a yellow card, orange card, and then the red card, you get kicked off the show. So it's like a 3 strikes you're out type deal. After the first season, at least. The first season is very interesting to watch. I would recommend maybe watching the second season before the first season, because the first season, they just like literally are figuring it out as they go. Like they're making up rules as they go even. And it's very like informal. And it's just like, it's very, season 1's like one of the funniest. But it also is like there's no rules or any kind or stakes really because of it. After the first season, the show was like a big enough hit to where now they had actual like hard set rules. But the show is just incredible. It really breaks down what like what comedy is and reasons for being a comedian as well. One of my favorite examples, I'm not going to tell you which season it is from because it is technically a spoiler if you're wanting to watch it. There is a season where there's 2 competitors left. It's the last 2, and there's like literally like 30 minutes left. It is a older comedian who's established and a younger comedian who is not established. And they are literally at each other's throats, like trying to make each other laugh. But they've been doing this for like 5.5 hours. So they're both like completely drained and like gone mentally. And they both take turns at one point sipping water and spitting it in the other's face. And then they're taking turns, like one sips, spits, the other sips, spits, just in a vague attempt to possibly muster a laugh out of one of them. And then during that whole exchange, when they're trying their hardest to make the other laugh, the younger comedian says to the older comedian, "Please, I beg of you, just laugh. You already are successful. You already have a career. I need this money badly. Please laugh. You're already famous and established. You don't need the money." To which the older comedian goes, "It's not about the money." And it, like, when I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, like, holy, like, this guy is really about it. He does not care. I mean, the money is nice. I assume he's still going to like the money. But it's like, at the end of the day, he's like, I know that if I win this, it's going to establish my name even further than it already is established. Because, yeah, while he is an established comedian, he's not, like, ultra famous. He's just on talk shows a lot. And, like, you know, he like, makes a living off of it, but he's not, like, ultra wealthy. This could push him into the realm of, like, I can be actually really famous. He's just doing it because he wants the world to know that I am the winner. I am the true comedian. I am an elite comedian, basically. Whereas the younger kid just sees the money and is just like, I just want the money. I need the money. 10 million yen, I think, is around like 40,000 USD. Might be more than that, because I think 1 million yen is like 7,000 USD. It also depends on when you look at that, because it's always changing. But it's just such a primal thing. 2 guys literally spitting water in each other's face because they are so physically drained they can't think of another bit to like make the other person laugh. They're just resorting to like primal, just like, laugh, I spit water, laugh, please. And even are just like begging. And the young kid especially is just trying everything to try and make this older gentleman laugh. And the older gentleman will not yield. And yeah, that was a moment that just like cemented the show in my head for me, where I'm just like, oh, this is like, yeah, a lot of people are on the show because it's like, especially in the later seasons, like, it's good exposure. It's a very established show. But in the earlier seasons, especially, it's like a token of honor. Like, I want to be the best comedian. I want to like prove to all of Japan that I am funny. Now, let me get to the cons of the show, like the negatives of the show. And some of these are just subjective things, problems I have with the show. One problem I have with the show is that the least funny people have a better chance of winning. And the best way to describe that would be the funniest people laugh more often because they are always thinking funny. Like, they are always coming up with funny ideas in their head, and those funny ideas are what makes them laugh. The least funny people, like the people that only have like one bit. There are some people that come on the show and they literally just have one bit, and it's from their act in like real life, and they just say the bit over and over again. Those people are who cannot like adapt and come up with multiple bits, or just cannot like just come up with something on the spot and improv. Those people last a lot longer sometimes just because they're not funny. Like they can't think in a funny way. So when they see someone else being funny, it like doesn't register to them. That's a problem that Fujimoto has. Fujimoto and Jimmy, the two I mentioned earlier, are so funny that they laugh a lot because they are so funny. And it upsets me because it's like these guys need to go, like it's so upsetting seeing them laugh and get like a yellow or orange card, because it's like, damn it, they're laughing because they're contributing the most. Whereas you have people who are contributing the least who make it all the way to the end. Like that young comedian that I mentioned earlier that was begging, he didn't deserve it, in my opinion. I didn't think he was funny from the start. And so it's crazy that he got even to like the final two. So that's one of my critiques with the show, is that sometimes the comedians will come on and it's like they just do not know how to improv. They just say the same bit over and over again until somebody laughs, until like everyone else leaves. There's actually, this is a spoiler again. There is one season where somebody wins and I didn't think they were funny the entire time. I was like, wow, I cannot believe that guy won. And it was this reason that I stated. Like, that guy is so unfunny that I think he just does not know how to laugh at other people's jokes because of how unfunny he is. That is the main critique of the show. Another critique is that it's kind of like, this is more so in the earlier seasons, they just be making up rules sometimes in favor of some people and sometimes against some people. It is very like laissez-faire. I'd say by season 4 and 5, they have it pretty tight to where it's like the rules are set. There's no wiggle room. And I will say, besides that one season I mentioned, and I haven't seen all of the seasons, mind you, every time somebody has won the show besides that one season, I was like, that person deserved it. They fucking really did it. Like, they were hilarious consistently, and they were like mentally strong enough to stay in sound mind. You know, I don't want to speak on the Japanese culture, but I've I like the culture enough to like know like a little bit about it, and I know that they're very much about politeness and respecting your elders and stuff like that. All of that is out the window with Documental, and that's an aspect of it I find very interesting. You'll have young comedians in there with old comedians, sometimes people in like their 50s and 60s, people who have been doing comedy for like 40 years, and all respect for your elders goes out the window. I've seen old men just being slapped. Also, there are no rules when it comes to how to make somebody laugh. Meaning, besides like actually harming another person, you can get fully naked, no problem. You can do anything you want, like no holds bar. You could take out your dick and just start peeing. Like, that's literally something that is done at one point. There's literally no rules. The only rule is to not laugh. You can make anyone laugh in any way, shape, or form. And that's what contributes to the chaos of it, is that these guys can literally do whatever comes to their mind when it comes to trying to make somebody laugh. There is like sometimes where physical bits will involve people slapping the shit out of another guy. And like, it's just no problem, no holds bar. It is unbelievable, the stuff that they get away with. And obviously it's on Amazon Prime, so they censor all of like the nudity and whatnot. But it's pretty wild. My favorite bit in the entire show, it is like a legendary thing. There's no, like, you can't find it if you look it up online. You're definitely not going to find it if you look it up online. The only way to see it is to watch it. It's called the Anal Olympics. Anal Olympics. And the premise of the Anal Olympics is timing to see how fast you can show someone your butthole. Not just your butt, your hole. And it makes for like the single most insane and funny thing I have ever seen. It is like a jaw-dropping moment. and it is worth the watch for that. I think that one's, I'm going to tell you which season that's in. I think it's in like season 2. It might be season 1 even. It might be, I think it's season 1 or 2. The Anal Olympics is. I'm going to tell you straight up, my jaw dropped, followed by the hardest belly laugh I have ever seen, because it is like, it's done and then it just holds silent because no one can laugh. It's like literally, imagine seeing the funniest thing you've ever seen and then you aren't allowed to laugh. So it's just like, it happens and then everyone in the room is just like, oh, there's a lot of moments like that where something unbelievably funny will happen and you see everyone's face of, oh, like, I need to not laugh. Like, I need to lock in right now. I don't think any other show could do that. There have been copies of the show. There's unbelievable amount of copies of the show. Most of them are called like Last Laugh Out or Last, I'll put it up on the screen. There was like a Canadian one that had like Tom Green and what was it, Colin Mockery on it. The problem with like the Americanized ones and like the there's like a Brazilian one as well, they have to follow a lot more strict rules. Japan really, if you've ever looked up just Japanese game show, you can see they don't hold back on their television. And so when you watch like the westernized versions of the show, like there's no one taking their dick out and pissing. There's no one doing the Anal Olympics. Anal Olympics would literally like, that wouldn't be allowed to be shown on television in America, straight up, even censored, not allowed on television. So when you go and watch the like Americanized versions of it, the westernized versions of it, it's funny for sure, but it doesn't have the same chaos that Documental has. Really, there's no other way to describe it other than just watching it. I highly recommend watching. Start with season 2. If you like season 2, then watch season 1, because season 1, they really didn't get the formula down a lot. The first episode literally doesn't even start with like the show. It's just mostly like learning about who the people are. It's like a reality show, so like they interview the comedians as well about it. There was a lot more of that in the earlier seasons. In the later seasons, they kind of got on with it and they were like, all right, everyone's here to see the show, see the comedians laugh. It's established at this point. Let's get to the show. But yeah, the first couple seasons, they like do interviews with everybody and they explain their reasons for wanting to be on the show, because they have to pay 1 million yen to be on the show. Like they have to put into the pot. So it's like some of these younger comedians don't have 1 million yen. And in the first season, especially, the interviews are really long and they like go into like the fact, like a lot of them are like, I had to take a loan out to be on the show, or I had to borrow from friends to be on the show because I know how important it's going to be on the show for my career. And also if I win the money. So it's just like, it's a great breakdown of what it means to be a comedian. And while a lot of it doesn't translate to being a comedian in America, some of it does. Like a lot of it, translates to like universally, like I want to be recognized for being funny, which is something that I think a lot of people want to be. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to talk about this show that I love so dearly. Go watch it if you have Amazon Prime. First 5 seasons on Amazon Prime. If you like it after that, the next 5 seasons, you gotta find yourself. Next 4 seasons, because 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You gotta find that yourself, friend. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rant about Japanese television shows. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Or don't, send this to your mother, see what she thinks of it. If not, send it to your father, see what he thinks of it. If not, send it to your 4th grade social studies teacher and see what she or he thinks of it. Anyway, I'm Hugh. I love you, but only if you subscribe. And yeah, bye.